Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Cheeseadelphia. Thank you so much for your patience. We're going to be hopping into our next series. It is going to be a pretty awesome match between Cham and CyberCat.
Okay, all right. We know a lot about Cham being kind of the guy that snuck up on the WCS points last year, but didn't quite make the cutoff. But what can you tell me about this other player?
Yeah, CyberCat's been one of those players that I feel like I've seen around in the North American scene for a little bit. He definitely has been showing some degree of promise, and he's actually been one of the really consistent players in terms of showing up to a lot of these Cheeseadelphia lands. So I don't think that he's going to feel inexperienced or anything in the offline land setting. He's not like one of those new players by any means, especially to this venue. But I think he is going to be like a pretty heavy underdog in the series. Because like you said, Cham is a player that got close to qualifying for BlizzCon. CyberCat is a player that's like trying to prove himself at these offline events that he can get, for example, to the playoffs. Whereas, again, like Cham could be like a round of 4 finisher.
Okay, yeah. I think actually Cham, if he's in good form, is the contender to Neeb. That remains to be seen, though. I'm actually quite curious if that storyline plays out. But yeah, we're in the group still, and he's facing off against. What did you? I mean, his name is in game is ImmanuelCat.
He might have actually changed it. I haven't been following that too much.
Okay.
Looks like he did change it to ImmanuelCat. I may still call him CyberCat because CyberCat's such a cool name.
It's almost like SWAT Cat, and that was a pretty good show.
SWAT Cats was a good show.
It was a good show.
I didn't watch it, actually. I only watched the intro. The intro was very memorable.
Then why did you say it was a good show?
It seemed like a good show. You can judge it. I judge a show by its cover.
By its commercial, actually.
By its commercial.
Is what you do.
That's fair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Zerg player. Give it up for ImmanuelCat.
And in the top left, as the red Zerg, he is Cham.
So handsome. So handsome.
Okay.
Way to make it awkward.
I think you made it awkward.
Cool. Anyways, it's going to be a Zerg versus Zerg. So, of course, when you're facing ZVZ and you're facing against a player that oftentimes a lot of people would consider maybe better than you, I think it's... we're not going to sugarcoat it. Cham is definitely considered, again, like a pretty heavy favorite coming into this match. But there are a lot of things you can do in ZVZ to sort of catch your opponent off guard. There's a lot of kind of cheeky, tricky plays, and it's such a matchup that requires a lot of finesse and really good scouting. Scouting is such an important part of ZVZ, so if ImmanuelCat can actually catch Cham off guard, there are opportunities for him to do something here.
That's true. Any amount of early pools, all the various types, and then beyond that, there are the tricky third bases, the 2-base, fake roach into actual spire. I mean, there are a lot of trick plays, and you're right. Scouting, it's important in every matchup, but maybe in some ways a little bit trickier, in some ways a little bit easier. I mean, Overlords give you map hacks for a little while, but actually having your eye on the minimap the entire time can be difficult. You get Overseers eventually, which usually can speed in, and they can be killed by Queens too quickly, but oh yeah, there's definitely opportunities to miss very important swaps in tech, and perhaps that's what ImmanuelCat is looking to do. Or maybe he's just, going to play a straight-up game, take it as a learning experience if he ends up losing. I mean, you don't get too many times to face off against a guy like Cham. I mean, I think he's actually been playing on Europe, is what I heard, and not even on North America.
Yeah, Cham has actually, he's usually been one of the most consistent players in playing on both North America and Europe, but lately he's really just been focusing in on Europe, just because I think there's less incentives to play on North America right now. But okay, ImmanuelCat did go for the gas pool hatch, so he went for the spawning pool before the hatchery. He's going for a pretty quick baneling nest. I mean, a little bit faster than Cham's, but not substantially faster. But that does mean you can see already in the worker count, he's sitting a little bit further behind. He's also making a few more lings and is probably looking to get pretty aggressive here.
That's one of the earlier baneling nests you can really get. Yeah. I mean, what Cham is getting is, I would say, also early, but perhaps defensively early, realizing that would be one way he loses the game, is just simply not getting a ling into that main base or natural, really, to see how many drones there are and how many lings have been created. And that's exactly what's happening here, is that the lings are being held up in that main. Unfortunately, going to already lose an Overlord, which is just a bad rallying, actually. That's supposed to be a little farther out, covering the ramp, and instead, just going to supply block him in the second year.
Yeah, luckily for him, he's not going to get 2 supply blocks since he still had, I think, 4 supply to work with. He has an Overlord already starting up. A couple of Banelings being made now as well, so he's going to be able to invest his resources there. The Lings try and flood on in, almost get a drone kill, but don't quite manage to secure it. And now Cham has his own Banelings. He's got 3 Queens. This is going to be a tough wall to break, but, well, CyberCat actually does have quite a few Banelings coming on up. The question is, okay, there are the Lings to flood on forward.
Barring any really unfortunate trades here, and almost gets 2 for 3. Cham should have a really great setup. I mean, he's even got this 3rd queen that he's barely keeping alive to focus fire the rest of the Banelings. Cham's making more Banelings of his own. Looks like he will have to split the drones, but if the Banelings pop on the drones, there's nothing else to take care of the Lings that Cham is reinforcing with.
And Cham was sitting up at almost 30 workers to 19. Now we end up seeing ImmanuelCat adding on 6 more workers behind this, but even those 6 are not actually going to completely catch him up with Cham. A few more on the way as well, but now Cham is the one that already has an army supply lead and is also starting out more Lings, is making more Banelings, is looking to move across the map. ImmanuelCat may end up having a lot of trouble defending this now that he's drawn up so heavily.
Yeah, I think this could be a problem. I mean, he was the one that started the aggression. He definitely was the one looking to win with that aggression, but Cham already having Banelings really put a stopper in his plan. Now the counter could just win Cham the first game right off the bat. If the Baneling hits are good, if he denies the Banelings of Immanuel, but he doesn't quite, just trades with them instead.
Hey, you know, taking out Cham's Banelings is kind of nice because as the defender's advantage works out, the Lings will pop out very quickly, but you really need time to make those Banelings. So with the extra Queens as the added DPS, he could stand a better chance if all the Banelings are taken out of the equation, but all the Banelings trade, and it's really just that Spine Crawler helping out with the damage, but he does manage to hold on, and he's still behind in workers, and he's of course behind in a lot of other ways with the tech, but he's managed to stay alive.
Yeah, and because he doesn't have that Overlord on the other side of the map anymore, that's the first one that died in the very beginning of the game, and this one's kind of in a not-so-great position either. He doesn't know if Cham is continuing to reinforce. You know, his Lings get over here into this Roachborn building, so now he knows, but he's already building the second Spine Crawler, which is just going to take away a drone and 100 minerals from him that he needs. Yeah.
Well, forcing the full wall off over here for Cham is definitely going to make Cham feel at least a little bit uncomfortable, and he's not going to be able to take a quick third or anything, so that at least does eliminate some possibilities. We already see ImmanuelCat going for the lair now, and you compare that to Cham, who is going for the Roach Horn and going for the Evo Chambers, but he's not actually adding on that lair just yet.
But he is adding on the +1, so I would expect the lair at some point. And he's still droning, so not looking for a... Okay, that was that was really awkward. The Spine Crawler was going to go down. Luckily, he let the second one finish, I suppose.
Yeah.
So he has a retreat path. But he did not build any more Lings. Obviously, he didn't have any Roaches. Here, the ones he was across the map come now. But I think his intention is to go for a Spire. Get that surprise factor going. And I don't know if Cham's going to be able to push before that happens. I mean, usually you wait for Roach speed for that, and his lair's only just begun.
Yeah, third base also getting denied by ImmanuelCat's Zergling over by that third. And I do wonder, like, maybe Cham is actually just going to move out before he has Roach speed. Well, okay, no. It looks like +1 weapons. It's only about halfway finished, so he does have some time. The Roach speed upgrade does finish pretty quickly. Well, there's that Spire that we were talking about. ImmanuelCat really got to seize some map control. And there are a lot of Overlords to pick off, but there's always that question. Do you just go straight across the map and go for the Overlords later on, try and get some surprise damage done before they have like Spore Crawlers or anything, or do you just go for the free damage first?
Well, this is going to be maybe an okay game for ImmanuelCat now that he's pretty much getting to lair, pretty much getting to that Spire. You build a couple of mutas and maybe even really dedicate because they don't expect you to dedicate. Not many people are playing the mass muta style anymore. And maybe you can get that advantage. But Cham, I mean, he's going to send these Roaches out forward, do some damage, and then build up the Hydras. I mean, he understands how Spire's going to play once he realizes it's in fact a Spire. Yeah, Roach speed starting up a little bit on the later side for Cham, but oh man, just the fact that he's moving out with his Roaches and there's no real threat for an actual substantial counterattack from ImmanuelCat. The fact that he's going to be able to get across the map before the Spire is even complete, this bodes really, really well for Cham. And oh god, it's a scary situation for ImmanuelCat. He's trying to start up some Spine Crawlers over here, but even those are really low on hit points already. Yeah, not fast enough. He is hitting before Roach speed, and hey, if that was the deciding factor of his move out, those would have been on time. The mutas would have been out. But Cham choosing correctly to just walk across the map, not wait for Roach speed, It looks like he's going to be doing a significant amount of damage. If any Lings come to that main base now, all of those drones are dead. But the mutas do pop him. Well, he's going to lose his natural base. He might still think that he has a chance as long as his mutas don't die, which, I mean, they're not. Roaches are the only thing in play right now, but eventually Cham is going to kill his bases, his drones, and get to some anti-air.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That Muta skin really does make the Mutas look really intimidating, but unfortunately, like you said, the Roaches can actually, you were talking about Lings moving into that drone line, well, the Roaches alone should actually be able to deal with quite a few of them now. You end up seeing quite a few of them end up falling. The natural expansion having gone down earlier does leave ImmanuelCat on a 2-base versus 3-base situation with a half the drone count, and, oh, God. It's kind of funny. Cham is actually just continuing to flood out more and more Roaches. He's not actually worrying too much about the mutas or the transition point because he knows he just should be able to get enough damage done here that unless ImmanuelCat is able to end the game, which is not going to happen, Cham will end up taking game number 1.
Yeah, GG. ImmanuelCat giving like a little shake of his head at the end there. Maybe like, you know, if only the Spine Coils had finished, if only the Spire was a little bit faster. And it was all, like, you can definitely throw away too many Roaches and maybe take away a lead that you could in the early game by just not expecting the mutas to pop when they do. But it is, in that situation, is going to be difficult. I mean, even if he had to pull back with the Roaches, which you don't really want to do, but if they'd done less damage, let's say, didn't kill the hatchery, only killed 10 drones, I'm sure Cham, you know, he knows how to turtle. He knows how to build spore crawlers. The mutas would have been something to give ImmanuelCat a little bit of breathing room, but I don't know if they really would have made up for the difference that was that game.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough difference to try and make up for. But, you know, I still have some faith as ImmanuelCat definitely showed that he can at least hold on and bring it out into, like, the later stages of the game. Didn't die to the immediate follow-up pressure. And it's never a great feeling when you go into the later stages of the game and you're behind. But just the fact that he was able to at least make it there does give me some hope for him. That he's not so outclassed as just like, okay, this is going to be like a 5-minute series like for each game or something. And it's just not, it's going to be a difference between night and day. No, there's definitely some good showings from ImmanuelCat, making some good plays.
Yeah, certainly. Said he did start the aggression. Maybe he starts it again here. Cham, I don't think really has to risk anything. And, well, look at that. We have a drone canceled. All right, let's get into it. Game number 2. In the bottom left, he's down 1. It is the blue Zerg, ImmanuelCat. Emmanuel.
And his opponent spawning up here in the top right-hand side of the map. We have the red Zerg player. Put your hands together for OSC Elites, Cham.
Oh boy, and that's a straight up 12 pool.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about the 12 pool, especially when you don't go for the gas geyser. What are you usually trying to accomplish with it?
Well, he's gonna go for the gas geyser.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I mean, if it's a gasless early pool, then you're kind of looking just for the hatchery, but there are still situations where you win the game. When you go for the gas as well, you really are looking to win the game. I mean, sometimes I think there was like a couple metas where the ZVZ was like you would get banelings but not speed, and I just thought that was weird because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
You would get speed but not banelings, but if you're going to do this much of an all-in, go the full Monty, you know, go for the banelings, go for the speed, try and just hammer away and hope that Cham either underestimates you or just does the greediest build possible, which so far, Chammy is doing a fairly greedy build. If he added a couple drones, that would be the greediest, but 17 pool it is.
Yeah, the kind of funny thing also about this map is it is one of the longer maps in terms of Overlord scout distances, so it will take a while for Cham to actually finally see that, yeah, there are a bunch of actually Lings on the way. The Lings are going to have no problems if they really try to, just dodging away from those Overlords moving along the right-hand side, but no, he's going to go straight across the map. He is unrelenting and not going to be fearful about Cham seeing this.
Okay, well that is one way to play it. I mean, you can try and hide like all of the Lings, then hide even more off to the side so they don't even see that you have banelings on the way. Or you can just send them right to the middle of the map and go for the hatchery kill, which, I mean, it is so dedicated. It's literally a 12 pool that maybe giving up the hatchery would be fine, but if he thinks he can hold it, and this is about buying time, you pull the drones, you wait for the Lings to pop, you pull the drones again, maybe at the last second you'll be able to save it. But if you mess up the micro, if you lose too many drones, that is also a way ImmanuelCat can say, okay, I did enough damage.
All right, Zerglings on the north side of the hatchery means that the larva that's popping out on the south side should be able to get out A-okay without really immediately getting surrounded if Cham controls as well. The two Lings, okay, with more Lings popping in from the main base. He is able to force back ImmanuelCat for now, but oh god, that hatchery is getting so low on hit points.
It is. I mean, this is something where Baneling splash damage could kill the hatchery.
Yeah.
And he is about to make Banelings. The Banelings is finally done. Cham might be, I mean, he's obviously wondering what exactly is going to happen here. His Overlord sees there's more Lings on the way, not a hatchery, so he knows it's probably Banelings, and there he goes. He scouts the Banelings. He'll have his own Banelings, though. He reacted so quickly by putting on his own Baneling nest.
Okay, he's starting to move on forward. The Banelings coming, running on in. Ooh, getting some good connections. Oh my god, taking care of all of those Banelings of ImmanuelCat. And ImmanuelCat just going straight over to the main base. He's morphing in some Banelings in the main base. Cham on hold position with that queen is buying so much time. Is it going to be enough, though? Can he also deal with the flood on in from ImmanuelCat behind this?
A little bit of a mistake there to get out of that nice little pocket. And the drones are vulnerable now as 2 Banelings run in. He's going to split. He can lose a couple of drones. Actually, he can lose more than a couple with his hatchery lead as well. But he's got to be careful. ImmanuelCat trying to make the wise decision and not pop off on the drones to save a couple of Lings.
Yeah, and now this one Baneling's going to be sitting around looking for an opportunity, at least trying to deny mining or something. Oh my god, you're playing with fire there! He does manage to get a cancel on both of those Banelings, though. It pays off, and now the drone's coming off the line. Remember, Cham is still up 6 workers, but he's not mining with a lot of these workers for a lot of this time. He keeps having to pull them off and try and fight against these Zerglings.
There was a huge lull in the Ling production for Cham, and that's really hurting him because it's not that many Lings coming in here for ImmanuelCat. It's just enough, and 2 more Banelings come in. The emergency splits come down. It's 3 drones, but enough to be weak that he is in fact going to tap out. GG. We have ourselves a side series.
All right, 1-1. CyberCat, ImmanuelCat, whatever you want to call him, Legend Cat. He is making it happen right now.
Very surprising. I mean, not just because, of course, we expect Cham to be, a contender for tomorrow's title, but also just that the start of that was a decent enough hold. The Lings pop out at a decent time. The hatchery is about, half health, and then got a little bit lower as time went on. But he had the tools, and it was a little bit of maybe the micro, of course, a couple bad trades here and there, but also just maybe underestimating.
All right, well, we get ready to hop into game number 3, and kind of the funny thing is we've seen these sort of more aggressive openings from ImmanuelCat for 2 games in a row. Cham, I'm sure the first thing he's going to be thinking about is, okay, well, let me just make sure I get to the late game. All I need to do is make sure that I get to that late game, because that's where he's going to probably feel the most confident. That's generally where a player, like a world-class player like Cham, would feel more confident against the kind of up-and-comer in the scene.
Well, it's still going to be tough. I would expect ImmanuelCat to go ahead and just do another all-in of maybe a similar variety. Of course, he did a very dedicated Baneling attack in the first game, but that was obviously later than early pool. There are still so many other in-betweens, Don't go for the 12 pool, go for a little bit later of a pool, but still an early one. Go for a pool gas first and the hatchery later. Just have, super early speed. Tons of stuff that he can do, but if you find a weakness like that, and I really feel like in ZVZ, early pools are like a test. Can you actually defend against this? I think you should just keep pushing that point and be like, well, maybe you do always mess up. Maybe you do always depend too much on your own Banelings. All
right. Well, we're going to get started up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the blue Zerg player was able to tie up the series 1-1. Give it up for ImmanuelCat from Psystorm's Academy.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he is Cham.
Okay, well, Odyssey can be a sort of interesting map when it comes to all of the random Ling aggression that you can do early on, just because, again, Overlord pathing, the distance across the map really do play a huge factor. We already see that ImmanuelCat's going to be going for that pool first opening once again. Not like a 12 pool or anything, but still a pool first, and Cham is going to go for the hatch first.
I wonder if there's any hesitation, maybe think that Cham could just be like, oh, you think you can early pull me, I'm going to early pull you, but yeah, actually, I'm even wondering further, as this is not going to be accompanied by gas immediately. He takes a pool, then a hatchery, and then in some other time, I suppose, a gas, so, did that play anything into it?
I'm not sure. Well, Cham is going to immediately just try and get up his Zergling speed, it looks like, with the gas before pool, and CyberCat, I guess the real question is he going to just get hyper aggressive off of this? He has to do some sort of aggression going for that pool first. You have to, right?
It's such a weird pool first, though. This really feels like a defensive pool first. One that, because even if you get Lings and, yeah, okay, technically they're faster, they're about as fast as the length of any map that's in current StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
Maybe if Steps of War was here. But that doesn't really do very much. So there's got to be something else definitely in mind. The speed's even going to be a little bit behind because his gas wasn't as fast as Cham, who played a bit, well, the same build last time, but yeah, greedier than ImmanuelCat's. An evolution chamber is certainly an interesting to slap down this fast.
All right, well, the Lings are going to get scouted moving across the map once again. ImmanuelCat really doesn't mind when his Lings are seen by the Overlords, and that does give Cham a huge reaction to just flood out a ton of Lings behind this. Wow. Kind of funny enough, it's actually going to end up being relatively even worker counts, and wow, it's +1 melee being researched really quickly.
If I'm not mistaken, I want to say Cham either had to face this or did it himself only a week or so ago. He had a pretty epic ZVZ. But ImmanuelCat's been nice scouting in the main base. Nothing to really see. Perhaps it could have been a very, very, very fast Baneling nest, but that was at the front anyways. So +1 melee. So you get it before you get speed. So obviously like super early. It doesn't affect the kill counts like a Carapace does for Banelings. If you get Carapace, then you can actually get 2-shot instead of 1-shot by a Baneling, and that is obviously a lot more helpful, but it does cost a little bit more. And +1 melee, well, it's going to rip through the Ling versus Ling wars. I'm not sure if it's going to really be more powerful than simply having a Baneling nest.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he's going to be going into what I like to call the true style of ZVZ, just because it's this really, really wonky style where you don't actually end up getting up roaches. You go for lots of speedlings, you take bases, and you get up your mutas, and you just keep building up a massive muta cloud alongside a lot of Lings on the ground, and you just take these very, very scrappy, almost like base tradey kind of fights where you're always trying to pull your opponent back, you're always trying to look for bits and pieces of damage with the hyper-mobile army, but it is such a difficult style to pull off. So I wonder if that's what ImmanuelCat is looking to go into with the melee upgrades. This is kind of how you end up opening up like that, but the spine crawlers really signal that he's a bit afraid right now.
Yeah, I mean, these builds obviously do work out. There's a reason we have players go for them, but they always just seem so questionable. A couple spine crawlers were put down, but yet Cham still finds himself in the main base with 2 Banelings going after the drones. God. The last second split ends up being okay, but 5 drones go down. A couple others are weak, and all the Lings went down for ImmanuelCat as well.
Oh boy, and this is really, really going to be problematic. A few of those Lings are about to pop up over here for ImmanuelCat, and they are going to be able to take care of these remaining Lings, but 7 drones being lost. This is devastating damage right now for ImmanuelCat.
Yeah, he wasn't at a very high drone count to begin with, now at half that of Cham. And Cham also got some really important scouting, seeing the evolution chipper in the main base. He probably immediately clicked on a Ling and saw that it was +1 melee.
Yeah, a lot of Lings going down there to a Baneling, and ImmanuelCat is in a really, really rough spot right now. Cham is even getting up his lair tech. ImmanuelCat only has 2 more drones than he started off with this game. Like, this is, that's always just like the bad sign. You're 5 minutes into the game and you have 14 workers.
You can see it in his camera, actually. Yeah. He just realizes his timing is all thrown off. The +1 would help at even Lings, but he's going to be at a worse Ling count. So there's not a lot of situations where he wins, except that he gets a couple of lucky Baneling hits. But Cham's not going to let that happen. He kind of pokes forward, but then backs off, and is going to let the macro kind of do the work for him. Much faster lair. Not too greedy on the drones. He realizes what he's still going up against. Yeah.
I'm just looking at Cham's face. He just looks like he's ready to snap someone's neck. He's just completely unfazed. Oh boy. Oh, those Banelings hits are not amazing. They actually go off on the Queens, maybe killing off 1 Baneling or a couple of Zerglings. And he's going to actually be able to catch ImmanuelCat's remaining Zerglings out of the map. ImmanuelCat now sitting down in army supply as well as the worker supply. So things are, oh god, they're just going from bad to worse.
Yeah, that supply certainly tells the tale.
And you know, I was talking about the Spire play and all that stuff from ImmanuelCat. It's actually Cham that goes for the Spire. So if that was ever eventually ImmanuelCat's plan, it's certainly not going to work out now.
I mean, Cham could have gone for Roaches, he could have gone for Spire, he could have gone for 2 base Lurkers, and I think he'd still be an okay position. But a Spire should make sure that he's able to crack ImmanuelCat eventually. The spine crawlers were a bit of a problem, but you know, it's ImmanuelCat that was the one attacking now, trying to do something before the Spire is done, but losing a lot of Lings, a lot of Banelings on the way over to Cham's base, and he still has to deal with Queens.
Yeah, the Queen's already focus fire down 1 Baneling, focus fire down 2 Banelings, focus fire down 3, and let's see, the 4th and 5th are going to go down. GG, well played gets called, and Cham is going to be moving on to that winner's match in the group stage.
totally not unexpected, but it was with a 2-1.